Welcome back, Camily. This video is one that I've been going back and forth about for a while, and I've kind of been alluding to it in the last few videos, being like, there's stuff I want to share with you guys and things to catch you guys up on, but it just hasn't felt like the right time and I haven't been in the right place. But I think the time is now and I'm ready to share. It's just another one of those videos that I know people are gonna have a lot to say about it. I am in a relationship with two people. Their names are Cody and Shawn, and all three of us are dating. We refer to ourselves as a throuple, and Cody and Shawn were married before we all started dating. It's definitely very unconventional, hence my hesitation to share openly about it. You know, it's a little different and not the norm. I think it's really beautiful and I love my life and I love my partners and I want to share about it. So I thought today I'd tell you guys how it all came to be, how we met, how we became a throuple, and just kind of tell the story from my perspective. So right after I moved to Austin, I was trying to make friends and put myself out there. I didn't really know anyone, and it was my first time going to a concert alone. I didn't have anyone to go with. My sister was the only person I knew in the whole city, and she was watching my kids for me. My best friend Robbie suggested that I just put it on my story and ask if anyone else who follows me is gonna be there, so that way maybe I could have a friend. And that's not something I would normally do if it weren't for Robbie suggesting it and kind of pushing me. But I put on my story and said, I'm going to see AJJ tonight in Austin. If anyone of you guys who follow me are gonna be there, let me know, come say hi to me. And Cody messaged me and said, oh my god, I had no idea they were even in Austin. I got a ticket, I'll be there. He initially followed me because he saw one of my thrifting videos and thought I was cool and followed me. And so I kind of stalked his Instagram before the concert and he seems really cool. I see that he's married or engaged at that point. And also anyone who listens to AJJ, I'm like, yeah, they're cool. So I was definitely hopeful that we'd get to meet and talk and, you know, maybe become friends. So I go to the concert. At this point, I'm still kind of hung up on my ex-boyfriend. So I was talking to him on the phone for a lot of it, just sitting outside the venue by myself, waiting for the show to start. Yeah, I tell myself that before the night ends, I'm gonna push myself to go up to a stranger and compliment them and try to start a conversation, which is so out of my comfort zone, but I just kept telling myself, like, I'm not gonna meet anyone if I don't put myself out there. And so I did. I went up to this girl. I really liked her hair, so I told her I liked her hair, and we talked a little bit, but she was like with a group of people, kind of, and I got the hint kind of quickly that, like, she didn't really want to talk to me, which is fine, but I definitely got a lot of social anxiety and was like, that was so stupid, why did I do that, why did I say any of that, like, that's so weird to go up to a stranger. And so I kind of just tucked myself away in a corner, and at this point the concert's gonna be starting soon. People are getting checked in, showing their tickets, and I'm kind of next to the main door where that's all happening, just like literally sitting in a corner. I think I was smoking a cigarette. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. I've since quit, but I was, yeah, going through a hard time, feeling really lonely, sad, smoking a cigarette. And that's when Cody sees me. He's just standing in line and he drags him and Shawn out of the line to come talk to me. And it was a very brief conversation. He was just like, hey, I talked to you on Instagram earlier today. It's me, I'm here, hi. And I'm like, oh my god, hi, it's so nice to meet you. And we just chatted like strangers for a little bit, and they just kind of got back in line, and I didn't see them the rest of the night at all. And so yeah, I ended that night just being like, well, at least I got to see a cool concert. And then I think the next morning I DM'd Cody, or Cody DM'd me, or maybe it was a few days later. One of us reached out and was like, hey, it was nice to meet you. Let me know if you ever want to hang out. Maybe we can go thrifting. And so we did. We went thrifting together. It was just me and Cody. We met at a little cafe first and just chatted and had a coffee and then went thrifting. And yeah, it was cool. I talked about my kids. Cody talked about wedding planning because his wedding was like 1 month away at that point. Like I said, I was at a point where I just felt really alone, really wanted a friend, and I was really happy to just be getting out of the house and doing something and meeting people. And I thought he was really cool. I think I was a little intimidated by how cool I thought he was. He told me way later that after our first time hanging out, he thought I hated him. He thought that it went terribly, that I'm just never gonna hang out with him again after that. And it's so funny because I didn't feel that way at all. But yeah, we were definitely both pretty shy and pretty nervous. When I had moved to Austin, it was very much a fresh start for me, a clean slate. I was really trying to grow and work on some things within myself. And one of those things was the way I go about friendships and meeting new people and sharing things about myself. I'm definitely someone who in the past was really bad about like keeping some things private. I have a tendency to just be really open with everyone all the time and not really protecting myself, because if you just share everything with everyone, the wrong people could use things against you, you know? And also I think it's a bit of a red flag when you first meet someone and they're like way vulnerable and that vulnerability doesn't really feel earned. It takes time, and it should take time to be able to be vulnerable and share things about yourself that you don't share with everyone. And there should be things about yourself that you don't share with everyone. So those were all lessons that I was learning at the time. And that was something that I was really keeping in the back of my mind while I was trying to like meet people and make new friends. And Cody, that's just his nature. Like, that's just the kind of person he is. He is very secretive and shy and doesn't like to be vulnerable. Like, even with people he is pretty close to, it takes him a while. So yeah, at the beginning of our friendship, that was something I was proud of myself for, not like just completely oversharing right off the bat. But it was also something that was kind of strange for me. That's kind of the only way that I have gotten close to people. Like, all my closest friends, most of those friendships started with both of us oversharing and being very vulnerable when we first met and feeling like we had this instant connection, which, you know, sometimes it works out that way and that's great. And I'm still really close friends with those people, you know? Yeah, me and Cody continued to hang out. The first time that he met the kids, we went to an event for Trans Day of Visibility, and it was a little picnic, and I brought the girls, and it was really sweet. When I'm meeting new people, that's definitely something that I pay attention to, is like, how do they interact with my kids? How do they feel about my kids? I don't want to have people in my life who aren't gonna be respectful of the fact that I'm a single parent and that I'm gonna have to bring my kids along with me when we do things together sometimes. And sometimes they have tantrums and it's not easy and fun. And that's just my life. That's my life all the time. And whoever's gonna be hanging out with me needs to be cool with that. And especially making friends with someone who doesn't have kids of their own, it kind of made me nervous, because in my past experiences, people who aren't used to being around kids can't really handle being around kids sometimes. But yeah, the girls met Cody and he was so sweet with them. We just had a blast filling out coloring pages and blowing bubbles. And then afterwards, we went back to Cody's apartment and Shawn was there, and the girls met Shawn for the first time. And that was one of the first times that I really hung out with Shawn myself. And he was just as sweet to us, and he kept an eye on the girls a little bit as they sat on the couch while me and Cody were setting up his snake enclosure for the snake he was about to get. And I was just so happy to be around friends who made me feel so accepted, and like my kids aren't a burden. You know, they're not really used to having kids at their apartment. I don't think they had ever had kids around like that. But they put on Bluey and made snacks for them, and we just hung out for the rest of the day, and it was just really sweet. As a single parent, it's one thing for someone to like tolerate my kids, and it's another thing to like go above and beyond and consider my kids, you know? And it meant so much to me to have a friendship like that at a time where there was people in my recent past who made me feel like being around them was too much, being around me was too much, and they made me feel the opposite of that. So yeah, we started to hang out more, sometimes just me and Cody, sometimes me and Cody and Shawn, sometimes me and Cody and the girls. And it was just really nice to have someone to do fun things with. And me and Cody definitely started to grow closer, but we were at a point where I was kind of questioning whether or not we would ever get closer than we were. We talked about things, but it wasn't as emotionally vulnerable as most of my other friendships. I'm someone who really leans on my friends emotionally, and they lean on me. And that's what friendship is to me, like being able to go to someone and talk to them about what you're going through. Things still felt pretty surface level with me and Cody after like 6 months of us knowing each other. And I knew he was an emotional person. Like, he's a Pisces, I'm a Pisces. I like knew he had it in him. I'm like, why do you still have these walls up? And eventually I just kind of accepted that we probably would never be that close. You know, we'd meet up and do fun things together, and I knew he was a friend that I could really count on if I ever needed anything, as far as just like support, asking each other for favors. Like, we were both really there for each other in our actions and the things that we did for each other. I just kind of accepted that Cody's someone who just has walls. But you know, he's a great friend, and I'll take whatever I can get as far as our friendship goes. And then about 9 months into our friendship, I invited him out to hang out with my sisters. My little sister was visiting, and we were gonna go out for drinks. And eventually we ended up back at my sister's apartment, just the two of us, with a bottle of wine. And we just got to talking and talking and talking, and we talked all night, and we were sharing things about ourselves that we'd never shared before, you know? And it's like all at once we became super, super close. We realized that we have a lot in common, you know, past just surface level stuff. Like, emotionally, we're very similar. The way that we feel about things and process things. I just felt really, really seen and heard and understood in a way that I never had before. And I was so happy that we had finally gotten as close as I had always hoped we would get. And pretty much from then on out, we were just obsessed with each other more than we already were. Like, we hung out a lot before, but now it was like a few times a week, and we'd go to the gym together and hang out with the kids, and I was just always over there. And you know, at this point, like, I've heard a lot about Shawn. We hang out with him sometimes, but I was very much Cody's friend, you know? I loved hanging out with Shawn. I loved how sweet he was to me. I loved how he treated Cody, and I really admired their relationship. I think I was a little envious just in general of their relationship, because I was really, really single and alone. And you know, me and Cody would hang out all day, and he'd go home to his husband, and I'd go home and just be by myself. And all my siblings were in relationships too, and with us hanging out so much, eventually I asked him, like, what does Shawn think about us hanging out so much? And Cody always just said, like, yeah, no, he doesn't care. Like, we live our own lives and have our own friends, and he likes you. He likes how happy you make me. He likes hanging out with the girls. Like, we're all good. He's all good. And I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, a few months after we started hanging out more, I started to have feelings, and it wouldn't be the first time that I started to develop feelings for my best friend. And last time that I had feelings for my best friend, it ended up pretty bad, and we didn't talk for like 6 months. And I was pretty heartbroken, and it definitely took some time to get over it. And all in all, I just felt dumb for even thinking that that could even happen with them. So when I started to develop feelings for Cody, I immediately was like, not gonna happen. He's married. That's ridiculous. And I was just like, damn, I can't even have a platonic friend who is kind to me and treats me nicely and with compassion without thinking I'm in love with them. And yeah, I just kept telling myself, like, it's all me, it's all in my head, I'm confused, I don't know the difference between platonic and romantic. And also, like, it's just not gonna happen. And I love Cody so much, and his friendship means the world to me, and I don't want to ever jeopardize our friendship. I would never forgive myself if I told him about my feelings and ruined our friendship. Like, that would suck. That is the worst case scenario imaginable. And so I can't feel this way. These feelings are wrong. Shove it down, shove it down, shove it down. And I did my best at that, and was just really content to be best friends. And kind of like I said earlier, like, I'll take what I can get. Like, I'm so honored that I get to be Cody's best friend. You know, why do I need more? But yeah, as I battled with these feelings, I definitely felt weird, guilty feelings towards Shawn when all three of us would be hanging out. And that started to happen more frequently with me being over there all the time. I got a lot more opportunity to hang out with Shawn and get to know him. And it was this weird dynamic where I liked Shawn a lot. I didn't want to hurt him. I didn't want to cross any boundaries. I didn't want to mess with their relationship. As much as I had my silly feelings, I also like really admired the relationship. I saw that it was really something special that they had. And I love Cody, and I loved the way that Shawn loved Cody. And I was really happy for the both of them. It was never, ever, ever a thought in my mind them not being together. And so yeah, all of us hanging out, I felt guilty for the way that I felt. And despite Cody telling me otherwise, I just felt like Shawn hated me. Like he could see right through me, and he knew I had these feelings, and he hated me for it, but wouldn't say anything. Which I know now, Shawn has told me, like, yeah, I did know. I think it was very clear between all three of us that nothing was ever gonna happen. No one would ever cheat. You know, like there was these unspoken feelings and this general tension that just kind of existed. And I knew that nothing like that would ever happen. I would never cross that boundary or do anything to jeopardize their relationship. And also they were married. They really trusted each other and do trust each other. As much as Shawn had his suspicions, you know, if he really thought something would have happened, he would have said something. He would have expressed to Cody, like, hey, what's going on with you and Cam? And Shawn the whole time was very aware of the extent of me and Cody's friendship and just how close we were and how much time we spent together. Like, there was absolutely nothing going on behind Shawn's back or anything like that. On New Year's Eve, I threw a party and had some people over, and Cody and Shawn were there. And that night is definitely the first time I started to have those types of feelings towards Shawn. I knew how I felt about Cody. I was trying to push it down. I accepted that nothing would ever happen, and I promised myself that I would never say anything or do anything about it. But yeah, that night, Shawn was just opening up to me a little bit more and coming out of his shell, and we were just joking around a lot. And every time he would laugh at my jokes, I would just get butterflies and be so giddy and like, why am I so flattered that Shawn's laughing at my jokes right now? And I just wanted him to like me so bad. I just remember the feeling of like, oh my god, like, wait, Shawn does actually like me. Which felt like a relief, because like I said, I thought he kind of hated me. But yeah, I definitely started to be like, wait, do I have feelings for both of them? And then all three of us, like, just joking and laughing together, it just felt so good. I felt so like I belonged, you know? And they were both just so sweet to me. So time went on, and as me and Shawn started to get a little bit closer, then came all of the jokes about us being a throuple. And you know, they were just jokes. Like, three of us would be hanging out and we just kind of look like a throuple, just being out in public, the three of us. It was mostly Shawn. Shawn just kept making jokes about it. It was Cody too, don't get me wrong, but it was mostly the two of them and not me. I was too worried about my true feelings coming to light to even like go there and joke. But yeah, there's all these jokes being made about the three of us being together, and there's also jokes being made by Shawn that me and Cody are having an affair. And I think that was him kind of poking fun at me and being like, you know, I see you. I see the way you feel about my husband. He so clocked it and was putting me in the hot seat all the time. But you know, it was really playful, and looking back, like, we were all just being so silly about it. And more as the three of us would hang out, it would feel like we were dating. It would feel like we're a throuple. It got to a point where it's like, yeah, we're all making jokes about it, but is that not kind of what's happening right now? Like, we'd all sit together on the couch really close. Or sometimes just me and Cody would be cuddling on the couch and Shawn would walk by and just be like, oh, Cam and Cody snuggling on the couch. Like, it was just so normal. And of course, inside, I'm like, oh my god, we're cuddling. Like, I've spent so long pushing these feelings way down. Part of me kind of started to like have hope and be like, maybe it's not in my head. And I very slowly started to kind of see and like say certain things to kind of suggest, and just kind of like putting it out there in a way that I felt was very obvious. And it got to the point where I'm like, this is so frustrating that things are so unspoken. But part of me was kind of content to keep it that way, and I felt like as long as things weren't spoken out loud, we could continue to just live in this happy little bubble where we're all having a good time and hanging out and cuddling, and it's a joke. It's all a joke. It's such a joke that the three of us, whatever. But you know, I'm coming to date night with them. Like, they're going on a date and I'm there too. And all three of us are like getting dressed up to like go out together. And we're all like holding hands in a row as we cross the street. And once again, I was like, this is enough for me. I'll take what I can get. Yeah, just my boyfriends who aren't my boyfriends. While it was unspoken between the three of us, my friends and my sisters, they heard all about it. I would just vent about how confused I am, how I'm getting mixed signals, how I don't know what to do about it, how I could never be the one to like actually say the thing. And they honestly got so frustrated with me and were just so over me. And yeah, they were over it too. They were like, God, this can't go on like this. Something has to happen. And so in a last ditch effort to not feel this way, I started going on dates and talking to people on dating apps. Cody expressed that it made him feel weirdly jealous, but in a friend way. But you know, he was trying really hard to be supportive and be like, yeah, go on dates. How's it going? How's talking to so-and-so? And I tried really hard to find interest in other people, and I just couldn't stop thinking about them. One night, me and Cody went out to a drag show together, and we were having a good time, just being us, having fun. And then Shawn showed up and they were being really kissy and sweet and, you know, being affectionate in a way that I wasn't able to be affectionate with them. It feels like I got to have all the great parts about being in a relationship aside from that. And I just saw them kissing and I started to have a panic attack. All these feelings I've been holding down and so confused about, they all just came out, and I ran away, went to like the other side of the club and hid in a corner and just cried. Then Cody texted me after and was like, hey, are you good? Like, you seemed really upset. What's going on? And at that point I told myself, I'm like, we just can't be this close. I just can't be this involved. We can't hang out this much. It went from I'll take whatever I can get to like, this is starting to hurt. And you know, I still want them in my life. I still want to be friends. But I knew it was time to look out for myself and my feelings and, you know, put some distance between us. And I was kind of cold to them and didn't really explain. And yeah, it lasted all of like 2 days of me being like, no, I can't. And I texted them and pretty much told them how I felt without telling them how I felt. I told them I got jealous when I saw them kissing. I still kind of alluded to like jealous in a friend way, you know? Or like jealous in the sense that I'm really single right now and you guys aren't. And they responded and were just like, all good, I get it, I understand that. I have weird friendship jealousy feelings about you too. And we talked it through and that was that. And for months to follow, like I would be hanging out with them and just have a panic attack, or even like just hanging out with Cody, and I'd start to think about all these feelings and all these things that I'm not saying, and it would all just like come out in this big emotional outburst, and he would be consoling me and having no idea what it's even about. And I'd lie and I'd come up with excuses and be like, oh, it's just this, it's just that. These other things going on in my life. And you know, he gets panic attacks too, like he understands. He's just very sweet to me and there for me through that. But yeah, no, it really started to affect me and affect our friendship, whether he knew it or not. And I knew I had to do something about it. I knew distancing myself wasn't gonna work. I tried that, it lasted 2 days. I knew that these feelings weren't gonna change and it wasn't right at this point for me to hold it in. I still felt incredibly guilty despite like having hope that they also felt the same way. You know, the facts still remained. They're married. And it felt icky and wrong and deceitful that I felt this way for so long and haven't said anything. It made me feel like a bad person. You know, that was part of the reason why I was having these panic attacks. And so in the last few weeks before I did eventually say something, I was like, all right, fuck it. I'm gonna try as hard as I can to drop hints and hope to God that someone else says something before I do, because I do not want to be the one to ruin this and to bring it up and to say how I feel and to be vulnerable. I was very obvious about my feelings to the point where I go, like, there's no way that they could even deny it. Like, there's no plausible deniability here. I'm being so clear. I'm being as obvious as I can without actually blurting it out and saying those words. I wrote a song about my feelings and posted it online where they could see.
When it comes down to it, we both know that we know, and we know how it would end, so we can't see where this goes. You have your cake and I'll watch you eat it too, while I'm sitting across the table just smiling at you. Maybe I'd be happy to sit here my whole life, watch you have it all, wipe the icing off your chin. Just make sure you save some crumbs in the end.
At one point, me and Cody were having a conversation and he said something like, yeah, like me and you as a couple would never work. We're way too similar. And I straight up was just like, I don't think so. I think it'd work out great. I think us having so much in common, you know, I think we'd make a great couple. Like, pretty much said that straight to his face. And, you know, we just laughed it off and moved on. But anyways, eventually I tell them that I have something to say. I'm scared it's gonna ruin our friendship. I feel like that's obvious enough. And, you know, at this point I'm like crying. I'm still trying to calm down. And Cody just says to me, like, it's okay. You don't need to tell me right now. Just whenever you're ready, it's fine. Or you could never tell me. That's also fine. It's all good. And I'm just like, how are you just so calm and chill right now? I think deep down he knew what was on my mind and also just wanted to not have to have that conversation, because it's a difficult conversation. And we were really content for a really long time not saying it out loud and just living in best friend la-di-da fantasy land. But you know, you can't stay there forever. It starts to hurt, and it did start to hurt. So yeah, Cody leaves it at that and says, tell me whenever you're ready. And that night I send a very long text explaining all of my feelings, just how much it's been driving me crazy and how there's all these jokes being made about it, but like, at what point is it not a joke, you know? And how I feel like we're practically boyfriends already. The way that our dynamic functions, it's as if we're dating, you know? If this is gonna happen, then we need to talk about it. There needs to be conversations. I need to know where the boundaries are. And you know, if this isn't gonna happen, then like, we need boundaries still. I need to not be strung along and the butt of this throuple joke. You know, we probably just, we can't be this close. We can't be this close anymore. Things can't just keep happening the way that they've been happening. Something has got to give one way or another. And I was 90% sure that it would result in us not being friends anymore, or at least not being as close ever again. As much as I was really hopeful and felt like, okay, there's no way that this is all in my head, I also just felt like it's not very plausible. It's one thing to joke about it, and it's another thing to actually be in a throuple, you know? And so yeah, I send the text, and I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting, and I don't get a response for like 6 hours. The anxiety I felt in those 6 hours, I just kind of accepted it. I'm like, yeah, he might just block my number and never talk to me again, honestly. There it goes. Lost my best friend. It's my fault. My stupid fucking feelings. Yeah, he texted me and didn't say much, just kind of said that he's sorry he took so long to respond. There's a lot of feelings going on, a lot of thinking and talking to Shawn, and he asked if I'd meet him the next morning at a coffee shop so we could talk. And him telling me to meet at a coffee shop, I was like, damn, I can't even come over. Like, this is really it. Like, I was preparing for the worst. Like, that'd be the last time I'd see him. I was really, really nervous. I barely slept, and I woke up and drove up there first thing in the morning, and we talked, and He apologized for making me feel that way and making me feel confused and strung along. He felt really bad for how much I had been hurting. He expressed that he does have similar feelings, and Shawn also has similar feelings. Up until that point, they hadn't spoken those feelings out loud at all. Like, all of these feelings have been completely unspoken in every direction. But he also expressed that he was really in denial about those feelings and pushed them down like way more than I had been able to, and was really convinced that like I didn't feel that way about him. All of these signs that could be signs was just him misinterpreting me, and felt similarly about his own feelings, being like, I just don't know the difference between platonic and romantic. Like, that's a me problem, not me actually having feelings, you know? And so yeah, we were all in a really similar place with that. And he told me that he talked to Shawn, and there's basically 3 options. Option 1 was that we go our separate ways and continue on with our lives, which we both agreed sucked. Horrible option. Have no interest in that. Second option is to try to continue to be friends, just have more boundaries in place. And, you know, I said after this conversation and knowing how you guys feel and how I feel like we'd all just be denying our feelings. And option number 3 was to go for it. It was really scary, and we didn't want to lose each other. It definitely felt like a big risk and a big leap of faith. None of us have ever been in a polyamorous relationship before, or ever really considered it outside of this situation, and it's new territory, and it's confusing and difficult, and there's a lot more to unpack compared to a monogamous relationship. There's a lot more to figure out as far as boundaries go. You know, while me and Shawn were friends and had a bit of a crush on each other, we also like didn't really know each other as well as me and Cody did. And obviously Cody and Shawn are married. They knew each other very well. But me and Shawn definitely had the most catching up to do, and that was really daunting. But yeah, we talked about it and talked about everything that had led up to this, and all the feelings that we've been in denial about, and all these little moments between us that make so much more sense now, and things just became really clear, and we decided to give it a go. And that conversation was just between me and Cody. So then Cody went home and talked to Shawn, and they spent a few days just having conversations between the two of them. I actually had to go out of town, so kind of gave them some time and space to figure things out on their end and where they're at. And a few days later, I came back to town, and me and Shawn talked, and all 3 of us talked, and then we were dating. And it was really difficult at first. It was a lot to figure out. I think it was even harder than I thought it would be. At first, I really felt like, oh my gosh, we really had no idea what we were signing up for, huh? And it definitely took some trial and error as far as just like figuring out how this is gonna work and how we're gonna split up time, and just making sure everyone's feelings are really considered and everyone feels comfortable and loved and seen and heard, and just balancing like prioritizing the feelings of 2 other people. Yeah, it was really challenging, and those first few months took a lot of work, but it was also so beautiful, and I was so happy to finally like be able to express all these feelings that I had towards them, and I felt so loved and secure. I went from being really single for a really long time to having 2 partners. So yeah, well, at first it wasn't easy, and it took a lot of really long conversations. 9 months later, we've got it figured out. Things are going really smoothly, and I'm really happy. I don't think it could work any other way with any other people. I think we all feel that way, that it's very specific to this situation and the 3 of us. I know without a doubt that they're as serious about me as they're serious about each other. While we can't all legally be married, I could see myself marrying them one day, which would just look like a ceremony and a celebration of our love. Yeah, that's something I could really see happening in the future. And, you know, if I didn't see this as a long-term thing. Like I wouldn't be taking it seriously. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be a part of it like 9 months later. Like I said, I'm just really happy. My daughters are really happy. They're so good with the girls. They love the girls so much. The girls love them so much. You know, they have 3 adults in their lives that really, really love them and care for them and look out for them. And yeah, there's just so much love between all of us. Like I said, it's pretty unconventional, and the way that it all came to be like wasn't perfect either, but we're all here now and it's working out. And looking back on everything, it feels like I'm living a dream. Like I wanted this for so long. We all clearly really cared about each other, and it just feels like it was meant to be. It was worth the waiting and the confusion and being brave and being the one to say how I feel, even though it was really scary. All of it, it was all so worth it to be here now. And yeah, that's it. That's the story. That's how it came to be. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, Camily.